It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on the two-bird screen. I like to get on here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I've developed a unique perspective about these movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and I'd like to get an idea about it. Because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to Puerto Rico. Got some plays over in Puerto Rico this past week. Gracias, gratitude, todo raba. In Puerto Rico, I heard you guys got a very large telescope over there. So you guys can see like planets and maybe aliens. Are you guys seeing aliens over there? I heard there's a lot of UFOs flying around Earth right now. Are you seeing those with that big old telescope? I don't know, but very cool. You guys got a big telescope. Awesome. And thanks for listening. Gracias, gratitude. And just FYI, back in the day, went to school to be a radio DJ, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just didn't have the vision. If I would have had the vision, maybe that would enable me to become a radio DJ, but it didn't. And it allowed me to become the greatest podcaster in the Matrix. Something to debate, might be true, might not be true, but I said it on the internet, so it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, truth, false, propaganda, fake news, the Matrix, water, milk, orange juice, leche, laranja, grape juice, apple juice, grapefruit juice. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're in line, just be aware, just watch out. Anyways, I could ramble you all day, but I won't. Let's get right to the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I rap. And a while back, I rapped again. I dropped the song called Eat the Frog. You think, bro, eat the frog? What are you talking about? Sometimes in life, you gotta do the hardest thing first. And that's what they call eating the frog. Eat the frog. I asked a couple people about it. They didn't know what I was talking about. They thought I was a madman. Let me tell you, it's true. When you do the hard thing first, it's eating the frog. Eat the frog. So I dropped a song called Eat the Frog, which kind of is about that. So if you want to hear the Captain with his unique rap style over crazy, spacey sounding beats and hear some rap style that you never heard before, check out Eat the Frog. I'll put a link below. Now, let's get on with the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. And it's a beautiful day outside. It's sunny. I just got done reading a couple chapters outside in the sun. I had no shirt on. All I had was shorts. I'm getting tan, reading books. Had a non-alcoholic beer, chilling, relaxing, reading a dope spy book. Yeah, life is good. But one additional thing I gotta tell you guys. This past week, I decided to stop doing something that I've been doing for a long time. I had come to the determination that maybe I should try living life and doing things without this. And I made that choice. And now I'm feeling the effects. And let me tell you, some of the effects I felt weren't the most pleasant. Some of these days I was kind of like, feeling a little. But despite all that, the Captain is still here. The Captain still podcasting. One of the things that this podcast is about, it's about discipline. Are you willing to do something or don't do something and stick with it? Even though at times it may be a little rocky, a little uncomfortable, will you still do that? Right? A lot of us won't. But I think here at the Captain Talks Flicks podcast, if you listen to me, you're about that life. You're about that disciplined life. We're about that disciplined life. Let's keep doing what we got to do. Keep making the choices. Keep practicing discipline and doing what is necessary and making the choices that are going to level our life up. So yeah, this week I made that choice and I'm feeling it, but it doesn't matter. I still show up because the podcast got to get done. And ladies and gentlemen, this week I'm going to talk about my most favorite franchise in the universe. And if you've been to this podcast before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You've been here before, you know what I'm talking about. But if this is your first time, let me tell you what I'm talking about. My most favorite franchise in the universe is the one and only Star Trek. Everybody knows it. And if you didn't know, now you know. Baby, baby. Yeah, I love Star Trek. And this week, Star Trek was back on the tube. I'm talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Yeah, they're back on the tube this week with the episode called The Broken Circle. Yeah, the episode was great. But before I get into the episode, a couple things. First of all, there will be spoilers. And second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company of Star Trek. I just want to be clear and transparent to let you know. Now that I told you that, let's get into Star Trek Strange New Worlds, The Broken Circle. Ladies and gentlemen, first episode, season 2, was absolutely magnificent. But you know me, I'm biased. I love Star Trek. They can do no wrong. Every episode I watch is fantastic. And this week's episode, guess what happens? Something happens in Trek quite a bit. Happens a lot. A lot of times this has happened over the years in the Star Trek universe. An emergency message comes through. And there's a crew on the bridge. And they get the message. They're like, hey, there's an emergency. We have to respond. And they go to the bigwig and say, hey, we got to go check this out. And the bigwig's like, nah, you better just stay put. We can't go there because blah, 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 because of these reasons. And Spock's like, I got a hunch. I got a hunch we need to go check this out. So you know what Spock and the rest of the Enterprise do? They choose to steal the Enterprise. Stealing an Enterprise has happened a million times with a million different captains and a million different crews. It's a very popular Star Trek trope. And now, Strange New Worlds, it happens to them. They're stealing the ship. That's so great. So Spock steals the ship, responds to the emergency message, and flies over to this world that is half owned by Klingons and Starfleet, the Federation. And on this planet, when they go investigate what's going on, we get to see the Klingons. And not the Klingons from Discovery. No disrespect to Discovery. I love Discovery. Discovery is a fantastic show. I've talked about it a million times on this podcast. But the way they did the Klingons was not just quite the way I preferred them. And in this episode of Strange New Worlds, we get to see the Klingons like I remember them from Star Trek The Next Generation. The way they're supposed to be. Kind of like how Worf looked in Picard. The proper way. At least according to the captain. No disrespect to Discovery Klingons. It was a fine choice, but I just preferred the other style. So anyways, got to see the Klingons, and they're drinking blood wine, and they're being Klingons the way I remember it. It was absolutely magnificent. So anyways, they go on the planet, they investigate this emergency thing, they see what's going on, and of course they solve the problem, because that's what they always do in Star Trek. They always solve the problem, because they're very smart, they're very able, and they take care of business. But what I want to do this week is get into a particular aspect of this week's show. And in this episode, we saw Spock talking to the doc, and telling him how he feels, like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm feeling this. Not feeling his greatest. And then the doc's just like, bro, you're stressed. You're feeling emotions. And now Spock is not one to feel emotions. He went so long without feeling emotions, and now he's feeling them, and he's got to deal with them, right? Right? He's dealing with emotions he's never felt before, and he's feeling ways he never felt. Now, when I saw that episode, the lifestyle that the captain has lived could so identify with that. Because coming up as a young man in the society that I came up in, the United States of America in the Midwest, the people I was around, the community I was around, the human beings I encountered, my family, school, friends, coworkers, whoever, we were kind of showed as men to not feel. Kind of like Spock. And Spock was trained to not feel, but in American society, Midwest, we were kind of shown not to do that. So a lot of us men didn't really feel like that, didn't feel those emotions, let those emotions out. Right? And years upon years of doing that, and then when you go feel them later in life, which I've been doing, so for the last few years, I've really been getting in touch with my feelings. I know it sounds crazy, but I have, it's true. And my emotions. And so when you feel these, some of these are new sensations, never really been felt. And so I can identify with Spock. Sometimes it's hard to deal with. Sometimes it's a little complicated. Sometimes you're doing things and doing stuff and these emotions are coming out, but you still have to get these things done and the emotions are there and you still have to do whatever you're doing. And sometimes doing those tasks or doing what you got to do while those emotions are going on can be a little complex. And in the show, Spock's like, yeah, I'm trying to do Starfleet stuff. I got all these emotions. I just can't deal with it. I can't handle it. And Doc's like, bro, yes, you can. Us humans been doing it for a long time. Now, me, I've not really been doing that much, honestly, to be real. And I know there's a lot of human beings out there that are kind of similar to me because a lot of us came up in the same space, in the same way. And so a lot of us are just now starting to feel those feels more than we've ever felt. So we kind of understand how Spock is. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you're older, maybe you're younger, maybe the society you came up in, the people that were teaching you, the teachers, the friends, the family, whatever, kind of showed you, nah, don't be emotional. Don't let those out. Express them. Keep them inside. Don't go in touch with them, right? Because I know it happened to me. It happened to a lot of us. But then sooner or later, as you traverse the timeline and you grow and you learn and you just kind of start to get in touch with those. And like I said earlier, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. I've really experienced that a lot this year. It's been a lot of moments I was feeling a lot of feelings. I'm like, what are these? So I totally can relate with Spock. And I suspect those writers over there at Star Trek, they know this. If the captain knows this, if a regular guy knows this, their writers know this. So they probably know guys like me who were raised the way I was and didn't really get in touch with the feelings the way I did can say, hey, I get that. I understand that. I know there's people out there that kind of have that Spock experience and didn't get in touch with later in life. Those writers are so smart. I know they are. So anyways, yeah, great episode. We got to see Spock deal with his emotions, which can be complicated, but it's achievable. Just feel them. It's got to feel, bro. So this great Star Trek episode. Although, when I was online, I saw some reviews that people were saying this episode was not that great. Oh, it's okay. I was like, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't see the way the captain sees. I thought this episode was powerful and strong. And I even talk about everything. There's also the whole arc with the Doctor. Oh, that is so interesting, which I don't got enough time to get into today. Maybe next week. But the Doctor arc is going to be very interesting because I can relate with that as well. So it's just so interesting how Star Trek, the human beings, the emotions, the feelings, how they move, how they act, can so identify with us. But that is why Star Trek is so powerful. Every episode I watch, there's always some aspect of humanity I see in myself all the time. And it's not like that with all the shows I watch. But Star Trek, yes, because it's fantastic writing. It's a fabulous show. It's a human show. So this concludes the podcast. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see. Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. Henry Ford. Until next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.